A brand new movie trailer sets the world on fire. And what does that mean to you as a creator? We're talking about that on today's episode of Knew Amsterdam Radio. I gotta say, Knew Amsterdam Radio is brought to you in part by Anchor FM. Have you ever thought about making your own podcast? You see, when I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? And most importantly, I don't want to deal with cables and wires and all those things. You see, the answer to every single one of these questions is pretty simple. Anchor. Anchor is the one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And you can use your phone, which is pretty awesome. Now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. So if you ever wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. Hello everyone, it's Flobo Boyce and you are listening to Knew Amsterdam Radio, episode 35. We're doing 35 of these things. That is just crazy because, to be honest with you, I thought I would have fell into that 8-episode trap. 8 episodes is the noted average most new podcast ventures go on to. People do 8 episodes and they get kind of bored or they get busy or they'll have a set schedule, but around 8 it kind of falls apart. Well, we did it. We're doing that times at least 4, 5? I don't know about math. 8 times 5 is not 35. You get the idea. Knew Amsterdam Radio comes to you live wherever you stream your podcast. We're talking Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, and iTunes. And again, I thank you so much for tuning into this episode and other episodes. And tell the friends about the show because that's how the show grows. And before I even get to today's topic, I just want to say that personally I've been working on some stuff just to show you that I practice what I preach a little bit too. I started a new vlog series. It's actually more of a visual podcast series over at YouTube. It's called What's Up, Flobo? WASSUP. What's Up, Flobo? It's pretty much a slice of life. Just things that I've come across or interesting tidbits or pieces of advice that really it's independent of Knew Amsterdam Radio. Whereas this show is for you. This show is for people like yourself who are creators, who have ideas in their brains and are trying to find ways to execute. What's Up, Flobo is more of a fireside chat. So come through on YouTube, say what's up, bring cookies, and I appreciate that. But yeah, that's basically following my own advice, finding new ways, new markets to push out what Flobo is about. And that's what Knew Amsterdam's about. It's finding new ways, innovative concepts and strategies, extracting what we're seeing is happening in pop culture and news and in sports, and how can we relate that to our own personal ideas, because I feel like the best artists in the world get inspiration from other things. The best painters just don't look at other painters, they look at sports, or they are inspired by people or in the limelight and things like that. So obviously the way for you to grow, whatever it may be, whether you're doing a webcomic, whether you are a avid interpretive dancer, is to look outside of your normal circle of inspiration to find new inspirations to make you that much better as a creator. I gotta be honest with you, I don't get around to as much movies as I like. It's one of those things, what movies are you watching? That's like the new book are you reading? There's certain kind of people that say, hey, what books are you reading? But movies are pretty much appeals to the common denominator. Anyone that has enough money for a ticket can go see. So it's not really bound by how intellectual it's written or anything like that. If you have a Netflix account, if big Netflix movie drops, like The Irishman, for example, all you really need is that Netflix account. You don't have to go out to the local Cineplex. So it kind of makes it an equalizer and a very, very nice open icebreaker for people. What movies have you seen? Now, I can tell you, as a former film student, it's pretty bad. The amount of movies I go see in theaters, and I'm still pretty much watching the popcorn ones, superhero ones I've invested in. It's more of the B-movie action movies because, like most people my age, it's just a hassle sometimes to go out to the movie theater, especially if the movie's big or if it's opening weekend, I should say, or special engagement and all that. If I'm not doing the Tuesday morning senior matinee, I'm usually waiting for video. So that's why I always make an event to see genres that I'm passionate about. Like B movies, B cop movies, I'll go and see. Cop and robber movies, I'll see in theaters. So that one, Black and Blue with Naomi Harris, because Naomi Harris is amazing and a kind of a bubbling crush, you know? Or I saw Superfly last year for that same reason. Just a B movie that's not going to get loved by anyone else. So if no one loves you, I do. And of course, comedies. As a comedian, I like to go check out, support the art form, and comedies are definitely the first casualty in the I'd rather stay home and Netflix it thing. So I always go out there and try to see a comedy every once in a while to support the art form. But today's inspiration for today's episode came from one Christopher Nolan. You know, the Dark Knight saga, Inception, and Interstellar. You know, that guy. Insomnia, too. If that's actually one of my favorite movies from this esteemed director. One of the last great auteurs of this generation. Yeah, his new trailer for the movie Tenet is coming out in July. And Tenet looks like another one of those movies where it's just crazy hard to describe, but people are going to like it like a magic eye painting, you know? I'll be honest with you, Christopher Nolan does not make watching his movies easy, even though they have large budgets and even though they have the mass screen release of a blockbuster, a lot of times because of the goodwill of his name and what he's done with actual blockbusters, but they're not necessarily popcorn films. You got to bring on your thinking cap sometimes to say, wait, this means that. And Tenet is no different. So we have this trailer, which I suggest you guys go out and see it. They're not paying me to talk about it. I'm just saying as a fan about some sort of keyword, magic word, playing with time, starring the dude from Ballers, a.k.a. Denzel Washington's son, John David Washington, and some action, some cars, some fisticuffs, and definitely some things that are scratching your head. And I will say this, of all the modern interpretations of the movie trailer, we're talking about how to get people in the theaters, common thought was go for broke. Tell me everything I want to, it's on the tin. Tell me everything in the movie so I can go and decide whether or not I want to pay money to see it. And a lot of old school cinemaphiles and those that appreciate the art form would throw their arms up and say, that's not fair. The whole thing's giving the movie away. Give me something to ask questions about. Give me something to pique my interest. And I can tell you this from the outside, that opinion is getting smaller and smaller as the years go by. But props to the team behind Christopher Nolan. That trailer does not answer a whole lot, even though it is the first one. Doesn't answer a whole lot, but does set up the world and the tone quite well. And I said to myself, will I probably see this in theaters? Maybe. I'm more jazzed to see this one, a Christopher Nolan movie, than the last couple of ones. I went to see Interstellar because it was the brand. I went to go see Inception because it was the brand. But this one, for me personally, was the first time I was intrigued about the story or what I'm seeing on the screen and the team behind it. And I thought to myself, as someone who creates something, how can I extract that to my comic works? How can I extract that to things I'm working on? And this is what I come up with. And maybe it can be helpful to you. First things first, let's get the basic things out of the way, right? The trailer. You have a big project on the horizon. You got to give people time to pique some interest and have a little bit of it's coming soon. Now, you would think it's common knowledge, but it's something that a lot of people just don't do. What you'll see is they'll wait till the project is done and, well, I'll take a step back. What I've seen anecdotally, so there's not a scientific study in the world to back this up. What I've seen is a friend will have a project they're working on and they'll say something really vague like, got this project I'm working on, can't tell you the details, but when it happens, you're going to love it. And then 3 or 6 weeks go by, and then when it's released, I am so excited to announce. First of all, change your copy. I am so excited to announce it's trite. It's cliche. It's whack. It's hack. Try something else. But the thing is, we take the idea of trailers and release as a two-step process. Tease, release. Tease, release. Whereas you'll notice with movie trailers and the old advertising push of a movie, it's actually a gradual thing. So not only would suggest in your case, if you're releasing a project, to do the post of, I got some things in the works, can't tell you about. But when you can say things, how about some close-up shots of something we can't even see? How about some interviews of people talking about the thing we can't talk about? Maybe some contests, you reach out to your friends and say, hey, give me a sketch, or I'll even pay you to give me sketches of what your interpretation of my project is going to be. If you're doing a brand new rock concert, for example, how about release some pictures of your propose merch. Let your fans interact and see what merch would they want to wear, and helps them to come up with ideas of what the project is going to be. So when the time you release it, it isn't just I am excited to announce. It's, hey, thank you so much for engaging with me on this entire journey. Here's the final product, right? But beyond that, that's all table stakes. But beyond that, what we can see is, here is someone, whether you like Christopher Nolan's movies or not, has a brand. And I hate to use brand in this parlance, but everyone else is doing it. Because when I was a kid, it was called reputation, it was called personality, it was called track record. But now it's brand. You know exactly where you're getting into when you're going to a Christopher Nolan film, right? You know, it's going to be a long runtime film with a lot of muted colors, but some action in there, things that make you go think, right? Whether you like it or not. And to produce a new movie of that, you have appealed to your hardcore fans who are already on board of what you offer. But the challenge is now, how do you do something different with the actual project to appeal to people who may not even be all about it? And there's the reason why I use this film as an example, because I am as a former film student, way familiar with Christopher Nolan's techniques. And that's alone for me to say, I'll check it out maybe week 3, week 4, or even on video, right? On demand. But for me personally, this is the first Christopher Nolan film I can think of where there's such a prominent lead role for a person of color. And this is the first one I think that plays with time in more of an action standpoint. Interstellar was more about time and gravity in a more introspective kind of way. So I love time travel movies, and I love the fact that this one has a little bit more of an action twinge to it. I am on board. This is a new interpretation. This isn't a cool movie I want to see, but as far as I'm concerned personally, hey, this is this established brand take on this concept. And that is the difference. My first novel was called High Desert Run, and it was a neo-Western. And why was it neo-Western? Because personally, Westerns, classical Westerns, the John Wayne, Cowboys and Indians, is my least favorite genre to write. So I said, look, if someone told me, Flobo Boyce is my pen name, to create a Western, what would it look like? And that was the end result. High Desert Run, still available on Amazon. Like 3 people bought it. The point is that sometimes the appeal is not necessarily the project itself, but is the interpretation of the creators of the project. So please think about that next time you have something on the horizon. You know, you want to present a way to a brand new, fresh audience that may be into the subject that you're doing, but really more into how you approach things. This is really especially true for illustrators, right? Let's say you draw in Disney style, just for an example, and you want to say, hey, for my next collection, my next gallery, I want to take athletes and draw them in Disney style. Now that idea has been done, but the idea behind that is, hey, I'm a fan of you, the artist. I want to see how you make LeBron James look doing a dunk over some helpless or hapless opponent. You know, use that to your advantage. You can mix and match with your hype, with your trailers, with your promo packages to really create an experience around your projects. That's all the time we have for today for this episode of Knew Amsterdam Radio. Of course, my name is Flobo Boyce. As always, thank you so much for checking out this episode and all the episodes. If you're a fan, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, foes, enemies, hustlers, pimps, players, all of that. You can follow me personally over at Twitter at Flobo Boyce or Instagram at Flopito. And of course, Flopito.com. I have merch, by the way. If you guys want to buy a t-shirt with my name on it, please do support the cause at Flopito. That's FLOBITO.threadless.com. That's Flopito.threadless.com. And until next time, the city is yours.